Yeah, yeah.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Agile World. Jay and I have had the privilege of joining Steve and Jesse, and today we're going to talk about how we met over white sneakers, why we think the world of remote holds so much potential for the world. Um, what else, Jay?
We'll also speak about one of our favorite principles from our book, which is about creating equal opportunity and some ideas of what you can do to be more inclusive. We also speak about the pitfalls of hybrid, which we know is a hot topic. Yeah.
Yeah, and where we see this wonderful little virtual world going.
So like and subscribe.
So stick with us because Jay, Alan, Morris, and Kirsten Clacey are going to talk about just an amazing adventure and how they are bringing remote facilitation to the world around us to be more inclusive for everyone. They're fabulous. You're going to love them.
All right. Hello, everyone. We are here to talk to Kirsten and Jay about the Remote Facilitators Pocket Guide, their book and their life.
Which is a totally awesome book. So thank you and welcome to Agile World. So I'm really excited today because you guys have teamed up to create this amazing book. So I want to know, how the heck did you guys meet each other?
I feel like Jay cues the story up really well, so I'm not passing the ball or anything, but Jay, if you want to do your thing, I can add in.
There you go. So Kirsten, you're just going to go ahead and throw her under the bus. Jay, you go.
No, I have the story. Yeah, the story is in my heart, so I'm here. I think so. Kirsten and I both volunteered for the Scrum user group, South Africa. And I had this good luck of sitting next to her at like one of the speakers' dinners. And so that's how we met. And I was just like, oh, look at this cool, amazing lady. Anyway, so we volunteered on this committee. And for some reason, maybe she remembered me from this dinner. But she recruited me over to a company that we both ended up working for. She was kind of sneaky. She said, just come for a little coffee, nothing too serious. It's just a coffee conversation, just a coffee. That is Kirsten's code for like, I'm going to recruit you and he'll be somewhere else in a month. But anyway, so I joined the company and where Kirsten worked. And at this space, we worked with teams from Kenya and Portugal. We were all in Cape Town, South Africa. And Kirsten and I both had this passion for facilitation. So just facilitation in general, how to bring people together, make the space easy, make it effective and enjoyable. So not having to be stuck in meetings that have no value or where people aren't getting value. And so we started thinking about how do we translate that into a remote space, because we had these teams in these different locations. And it started with like some brainstorming. Then I think we evolved and we were testing this out at like mini user groups. We eventually made it to a conference. And of course, in the one conference that we were at, Esther Darby was in the front kind of table, which was nerve-wracking in itself. I don't think I should tell the story, but I'm gonna anyway. Kirsten and I were also recovering from food poisoning.
Ooh.
And so we had like just basically emerged from like the covers, and we had to do this workshop. But oh my goodness, did that change our lives? Esther Darby saw our workshop and she recommended us to her publisher. And that's pretty much how things happened.
Wow. So you got a recommendation from Esther Darby. Now, were you guys, was it food poisoning or alcohol poisoning? This isn't being recorded. You can tell us the truth.
Genuine.
It was genuinely food poisoning.
Oh no.
Kirsten and I, we usually eat like quite healthily. And the day before, because we were planning the conference and speaking at the conference, we had like zero time to eat. So we decided to get like KFC at this interesting location. And it was just like, nope, it was out. We were, but we made it.
Oh, well, I'm glad you guys did. So you definitely went back to the healthier diets after that, I'm sure. So Kirsten, what did you see in Jay? Why did you want to recruit her so much? I mean, I know that she's awesome, but what did you see?
Well, so many things. What she also didn't mention was our shared love for white sneakers, because that was actually what brought us together in the very first place. Was, oh, you've got cool sneakers and we love cool sneakers. So that was probably the initial spark. But what I love about Jay, she has the most authentic, real way of approaching spaces and people. And I think, I mean, this is just one of the things, but if I think back to when we started really collaborating together, remote wasn't a thing then, right? We still were speaking to Agile coaches who were telling us they disagreed with our approach. They didn't believe that remote would ever work. So we were still having those conversations, and Jay just brought this like real humanness and authenticity to very awkward spaces. Because you think remote's awkward now when we have to do it. It was way more awkward like 5+ years ago. And in Seth Jay and Tiff space, and there's warmth as well as creativity and seeing new options. And yeah, she brought tons of fresh ideas. So it's not the last time I recruited Jay. I think we had a few more just come for a coffees after that.
Fresh ideas and fresh shoes.
Oh, fresh ideas and fresh shoes, did you say?
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
So what color shoes you guys wearing now?
I'm barefoot.
Me too. I also came from the pool.
Yeah. We Cape Townian, you know, you might find us barefoot more often than you like.
Yeah, not outdoors though. Outside, I will put shoes on. Just at home, there's not much point.
Okay, and I think that makes sense. And I will let you in on something. So my daughter is 18. She just turned 18 9 days ago. And she's a wonderful young lady, and I love hanging out with her. I don't care what we do. So we go get pedicures from time to time.
Oh, fun.
So yesterday we just got a pedicure. She convinced me. She's been trying to get me to use red for the many years, and so she finally convinced me to go with red toenails this time. So
love it.
Did that, and sometimes we sit there and we will solve the world's problems, and sometimes we will talk about TV shows like Ted Lasso, and sometimes we'll just sit there and just be next to each other and not chat at all. Just be in her presence.
Nice. And now your toes match your spectacles, which is so fashionable.
I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're right. Now I see what you like about her.
Creative, all the things.
Yeah, that is amazing. So, all right. So you guys were doing these workshops, and you obviously saw a need for it. So what problems are you solving? How have you helped people? It sounds like just being in your presence is pretty helpful. But what has this done for you?
I can share one. I think what the initial need that we saw, and this is something that also connects Jay and I, was inclusion and equity maybe. So the company we worked, there was very much like, this is head office, this is the mainstream culture, we have our meetings and you dial in, and all the mindsets that come with that. And especially for the Kenyan office. And my mom's Kenyan, so I had this extra passion for these humans, and it was just so obvious that they didn't have a seat at the table. And so facilitation was our kind of vehicle to bring them into the table in the meeting, but then influence the culture beyond the container of the meeting. So that was part of it. Yeah.
Wow, that I think that's going to be a huge part and continuing to go forward now because more and more organizations are becoming more distributed and more remote. So it's brilliant that you were able to be more inclusive through those facilitations. That's awesome. So now you guys decided to write a book. So writing a book is not like oh well, let's go write a book this weekend. It's a pretty extensive sort of thing.
It was. But I think Kirsten and I think we were so good. I say that I'm not tooting our horn, but I'm also tooting our horn. We were so good in terms of planning. We pretty much ran our book like we would run sprints. We broke it down, had our backlog, broke it down into little increments. And I think we finished our book like 2 or 3 weeks before the deadline, which was supposedly unheard of.
Yeah, our publisher was surprised. We were like, wait, did we have leeway that we didn't know about? Because we've been stressing. Yeah.
How much of your remote facilitation did you use in collaborating with the book?
Well, funny enough, we actually wrote the book well before the pandemic. So we were actually hanging out. We were using all these techniques every day at work and speaking at conferences and getting feedback and testing them. But together, it was actually all either at Jay's house with her husband. I have this vivid memory, would make us these gourmet cheese boards with, like fig preserves and fancy cold meat. Bless. So yeah, we had the luxury of doing it all in person from what I remember, most of it. The writing process was async, I guess.
That's cool, but you were using all the techniques already.
Right? Oh yeah.
So even before the pandemic, when people weren't necessarily buying into the concept of remote facilitation as being valuable.
Yeah. The Agile Manifesto, face-to-face interactions, the number of times I had that almost like thrown at me by coaches. You can't build real teams unless they're face-to-face. So it was in those days.
Yeah, so there we go from the fixed mindset to the growth mindset. You might want to hand them the book Mindset and see what happens. So
yeah.
But I love that, and I've gotten really bad with Zoom and face to face because I was actually on a call a few months ago, and I said, and it's hard to get people together face to face like this. And I was talking on Zoom, and I was like, oh man, that's such a major change.
This is face to face. It feels like it, right?
It feels face to face, but I'm a hugger, so I'm kind of missing that. I'm kind of missing that human contact. But there we go. So yeah, so I would definitely hug you, even though your husband's like 6 inches taller than I am.
He's chill.
I'm just saying that because Kirsten just sent. She just got married a little over a month ago, and she sent me this beautiful, beautiful photo where there's so many very happy people with flowers and just beautiful weather. And her husband did kind of tower over, and she's perfectly normal height.
Medium, right?
Perfect.
Perfect.
There you go.
Thank you, Steve.
So what are some of the big takeaways people might expect from the book?
Oh, they'd have to read it. But no, I'm kidding. I think the big takeaways, at least for me, is that we wrote it in a way that, it's in the name, it's like a pocket book. And it's full of meaty stuff, but if you need something, you can go and find a technique and you can read the depth behind it, but you don't necessarily have to read it from start to finish to get some kind of value. Of course, we'd prefer that so that you get all the explanations and the richness. But yeah, there's a lot of like principles is where we start that kind of guide you on where to go. And then we summarize or back it up with examples of techniques and things that you can try.
Yeah, maybe to build on that, I've seen kind of this flood of tips and techniques and tools. We all have in the last year or two. And it can be so dangerous to recommend just a technique without being anchored to the context or the reasoning. And so that was most important for us, is forget the tools. What is the principle, the question you can hold in your mind? And these are some ways it might look. It's not that these are the right ways, but this is how it can look. So I don't know, I don't feel like we've given away a technique. So maybe, Jay, we could share one. My favorite one is create equal opportunity. That's one of our first principles. And it's primarily in that around how remote spaces can be quite constrained by the way we access them or how we come into the space. It's kind of like a technology limitation sometimes. And so to design for equity first and how we can hear everyone, and structurally as well as process-wise, we can invite everyone to the table. It's a lot more better articulated than I did there, but that's how we think about it, and that's one of the principles. Is always designed for equal opportunity.
I love that. I love that concept of equal opportunity, because as we have more knowledge workers, right? Because organizations are forgetting that we have knowledge workers, and it's much better to have one person empower 10 brains, get 10 brains working together, than it is for one person to tell 10 people what to do. Then you just have one brain. So it's much better to get all 10 going. That's when things get so much better. What type of resistance did you guys run into?
We got super lucky. We managed to publish as the pandemic hit. So it was almost like this flood of need entered the market that we just luckily timed, because we've been writing it a few years already. I'm trying to think about resistance though. Yeah.
I don't know if we experience a lot of resistance. The only thing that maybe comes to mind is, I guess there were some people that felt like unsure about adding fun to meetings or like adding playfulness, but it wasn't that like commonplace that I would call it resistance. It's really the only thing that comes to mind. Or people asking, as Kirsten just said, like these are all cool, but what tools do you use, or what techniques would you use for X reason? And it all depends. It's all context dependent.
And Jay, you reminded me of another one, not a huge friction point, but where also niggles cropped up was, we tend to hold that if your collaboration tool is too pretty or perfect, it can make it a little bit scary for people to interact. So we always design, I see a knowing smile. We always design with MVP in mind, like what's the basic structure? And when we're teach the basic structure on the simplest tool. And then, yes, make it pretty. If you can make stuff pretty, then amazing, go for it. But we always teach on the most bare bones structure so that it's easy to generalize. So sometimes we facilitate in Google Slides because you can collaborate real time. And that's what we started with years ago. And some people were hoping for neat, perfect, beautiful things. And that can get in the way sometimes.
I think that's a brilliant concept, and that's the right place to start. I mean, how many times have you guys seen a slide or a PowerPoint presentation that's absolutely gorgeous, but it has so many graphics and so many different colors, you can't get you can't understand the words or truly absorb what's going on?
100%. And that also actually raises another thing, which I've been spending a lot of time on recently, is accessibility. Because when you're in the room with people, you can see the needs a little bit more. Like if someone has a hearing impairment, you'll probably notice the signal, or visually impaired, or you may not be aware of autism spectrum. But those three needs you don't see in a remote space always. And yet what I've found is the remote space is a lot harder for some of those people. And I've been working with quite a lot of people on the autism spectrum. And to your point, overwhelming graphics, overwhelming images, noise, it's a lot. And I think that's something we also need to be mindful of as we evolve this little virtual world we're in. Is there are a lot of diverse needs that we can't necessarily see.
Probably true. As someone who's been diagnosed with ADHD, it's far better to show me what you want me to focus on. than to fill my screen full of all kinds of pretty graphics, because I'll be following them all over the place.
The little gift that's just chilling in the corner and you're just like,
Yeah. So Jay, do you have a favorite technique or a favorite value as you guys were mentioning?
My favorite one is create equal opportunity. But my second favorite is definitely guide with visuals. And I know we kind of just spoke about this a little bit, but not guide with visuals in a way that's overwhelming. But these little signposts, like you were just saying, of telling people like what is expected. And visuals can also mean an absence of visuals. So something that we do in some of our facilitation things is hide elements if we don't want people to see that in a moment. Or we'll add like a picture that creates a metaphor. And it can be something as simple. So maybe I'm having a campfire chat and I just want people to feel at ease. And I'll play some crackling music of a fire and I'll have a picture of a fire going on my screen. And I'll have like pictures of people's avatars sitting around the fire. And suddenly we've created this visualization of what we're doing. It really helps me. So I have also short attention span. My mind is very busy. And boring meetings for me are really hard. So if somebody is just talking to me like on one with no like signpost or something for me to focus on, my brain is going to be like, ooh, I wonder what's on Twitter. Oh, I wonder if somebody replied to my email yet, and so forth and so forth. But if you can engage me with some kind of imagery, then I'm there. If we can involve me in something, then I'm focused. So that would probably be my second one.
Got it. I like that. And Jay, you are a wonderful storyteller, because when you were talking about the campfire, I just immediately calmed down, because I believe the three most calming things in the entire universe are the sound of ocean waves, crackling of a campfire, and petting a good dog.
Oh,
I think if you got those three things going on, life is just fabulous, right?
absolutely.
Definitely sounds like the way you're describing it is like you guys are on the forefront of this metaverse that's opening up. You've already started to create that environment for people.
yeah, that seems like a slight oversell. We're just doing what we do with people, but I like how you phrase it more.
Well, you guys are obviously natural, and you guys obviously work really well together, and just in these last few minutes, I mean, I'm feeling connected with you guys. So you guys definitely have something going on, and the fact that you're bringing inclusion is just a beautiful thing. Equal opportunity. Let me ask you guys this: as we go forward, and maybe COVID is going to clear up, maybe not, I don't know. In the U.S., a lot of organizations are talking about what does the next step look like. We're going to have people in the office and people out of the office. What type of challenges do you think that's going to bring? And I know that's kind of where you guys started, but what challenges do you think we're going to have going forward with suddenly we're 50-50? Right now we're all remote, and that makes life a little bit easier.
I can speak to the one that was most front of mind because it actually happened in this past week. So I think what is going to happen is if organizations are going to give people a choice where you can work remote or you can come into the office, a lot of people that want to be in the office will want to go quote unquote back to normal. So they want to go back to those like, let's meet in a boardroom and we'll have whatever meeting we need to have. And so I've seen this like just this week where a couple of people are in the office and so they want to join a big session all together in a boardroom while everybody else is remote. And that was happening before the pandemic, but now it's like people have reverted back to that. And it actually caused an interesting challenge. So we often say, if you're going to join the meeting, join from your own machine so we can all have equal opportunity. However, there's only so much we can control. And if people join a meeting in a big boardroom, that is they're doing. And they learned a good lesson because they couldn't get the microphone to work for the first 10 to 15 minutes of the meeting. Nobody on the remote call knew, so we were just continuing talking as if they were fine. And it was only like after 15 minutes that they kind of yelled in frustration that they can't like engage. And then we were like, well, I mean, this is why we want you to join on your own machine. So I think it's going to be interesting balancing these different needs. One thing I have heard also recently about someone who's just joined a new company is no conversations happen in person when it has to do with the work. So everything happens on public Slack channels, so that no matter where you are in the world, whether you're in the office or remote, everybody has all the context all the time. But that's just a very basic solution. But I feel like, Kirsten, maybe you have deeper experience with this.
Oh, no pressure. That's my deep thought. No, what I was just thinking as you're speaking, Jay, as you were illustrating so beautifully how we actually know what this world is like. It's where we were before COVID. So many places were hybrid with these satellite hubs, right? We know what that's like, and most of us didn't enjoy it. Most of it wasn't a pleasant experience because of these meeting confusions or office cultures that emerge, us and them. There's all these things. And so I empathize deeply with the desire to go hybrid and give people the choice of how they work. And I think it's going to come with some real friction points illustrated there and others. And I encourage companies to think about really what's most important for them, because there's trade-offs in both. And in the middle, you kind of drop to the lowest common denominator. You don't get the benefits of either, really. You get some, but you also like get the cost of both too. For example, you can't save on office costs, so therefore you can't afford co-located meetups if you wanted. So I empathize with hybrid places, and I don't advise it.
There are definitely going to be a lot of big challenges, and I think of cities like New York. You know, what is office space in Manhattan or in DC or Bethesda in our area? You know, what happens with that office space that's been empty for the last 2 years, and do people really need it? And people have gotten, you know, pretty comfortable working from home. Everybody's upgraded their infrastructure, most everybody. You know, so everybody has much better equipment. And I don't know about you guys, but Jesse and I, we're saving a ton of time in traffic. So
right,
probably 2
dipping
hours.
In the pool.
Yeah,
lunchtime in the pool.
If we had a pool, we could go swimming. Like Jay
you can
just
go ice skating. I don't know.
That is beautiful. How close do you two live to each other? Do you guys see each other a lot? You get together?
We live Cape Town far, but in reality, really close. So to drive to Kirsten would be like maybe 25, 30 minutes. In Cape Town, anything further than 20 minutes is far. We just like...
You need a passport to visit, Jay. I'm sure it's more like 35, 45 minutes, Jay.
It's 30 minutes. I moved to the outskirts of the city, like what?
Oh,
not really, but yes, like
really.
So you're in the boondocks. Okay.
Yes.
So in the DC metro area, there's a location that's about 8 miles away, and during rush hour, it could take easily an hour to get there, or over an hour to get home.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
And that's 4-lane highways. So.
Oh, that I feel something in my body just hearing you say that. It's like, oh.
So I'm digging the remote, even though I'm a hugger. I'm digging the remote. So there's no doubt about it. Now, Kirsten, all right. So if people are listening and you're not watching, you can't see Kirsten's beautiful shirt. But tell me about your shirt. It's gorgeous. I love that.
So I currently work at, and thank you, I love it too. I work at Automatic. So Automatic is the company behind WordPress.com and WooCommerce and Tumblr and all of them.
Oh, cool.
And this this little guy is the WordPress mascot, and his name is Wapu. And this is one of our diversity shirts. It's like all the colors and all the peoples, all the Wapus.
All
So,
of
yeah.
us, so cute.
Okay, I did not know that. It is absolutely beautiful, and it seems fitting. It fits your personality because it's just bright, and inclusive, and colorful, and that is just you. So,
I love the shirt even more now.
so well, thank you guys. Now, we've been talking for about 30 minutes. So let me ask you this: any final words? And one, if you want to learn more, please subscribe, because I don't think this is the last time we're gonna talk to these guys. I hope to chat with you more. I want to learn more about you. Also, in the show notes, when you come to our website, you will see, when you go to agileworld.news, you will find links to their books, to their LinkedIn page, and how else should people reach out to you? And what would you like to share in your final words?
Oh, I'm just trying to think of the last thing to leave people with, and
I love how
else can people reach us?
Theremotecoaches.com, and then
Yeah.
you can email us at info@theremotecoaches.com. We check the emails quite regularly.
Ooh.
And so if there's anything you need, you can just let us know. Oh, also quite active on Twitter at Remote Better. And
Oh yeah, via that email, we have like a group of facilitators across the world who come together to test up on each other. So it's a very experimental, playful community. We're not on Meetup because we don't have to deal with hundreds and thousands of people, but we have open doors to those who understand what we're doing and want to join. So pop us an email saying you want to join. It's called Hacking Remote Facilitation because we're just hacking together. So the invitation's there as well.
Wow, that is a fabulous invitation. Yeah, we're going to spend more time together. You guys are stuck with me now. Even though you're on the other side of the world, you're not getting away from me now.
Oh, damn. No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
This is beautiful. That is beautiful. I did not know. You guys are doing so much for the community. It is really, really amazing. So thank you all. Jesse, any final words?
Oh, no, this is just a lot of really great, energy to take in. A good way to start my week.
You know, what a wonderful, positive group of messages. I just love, I love connecting with you guys. I can tell that you really feel the need and feel the desire and have the empathy for everybody remote, and you're just trying to make the world a better place. That's awesome.
Thank you. And thank you for having us. You also both bring such awesome energy, and it's so easy and natural being in your presence. Your presence. So thank you.
All this face-to-face communication, right?
Yeah, I feel like there's even a hug somewhere.
I'm definitely hugging you guys if I see you. I don't care how big your husband is. So anyway, thank you guys so much. And don't forget to go to agileworld.news. Please subscribe. You get more of these every week. And we're also expanding into wellness. So we are Agile World Better English, and soon wellness is taking off, and we'll have more of that too. So how you can stay healthy and keep your teams healthy. All right. Thank you guys. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.